I think I need to get out of the mindset of like, I need to do this right now. And I
Okay.
need to say, you need to go take a 10-minute walk and calm down. Because in that moment, I'm just so focused on the frustration that I'm not like thinking clearly anymore. And so I think telling myself, like, hey, you should go for a walk so that when you come back in 10 minutes, you're going to have a better mindset and you're going to have a better like solution.
Hey, Shelby, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. It has been, gosh, what, 2 weeks
2 weeks.
since we've
Yeah.
seen each other? So I know last time we had such a short flip, it was only a few days, right? Which was, I think, a really interesting session to, kind of go back and say, I don't know what I have to talk about, right? And then so much unfolded from that. And I think it was just really lovely what you came up with. So I'm really curious to find out, okay, now 2 weeks later, what's it been like and what are some of the differences and also what's on your list? I know you have a list of things
Yeah,
to
I
talk about.
do. I have it right here. It's weird because yeah, usually I like doing my session 2 weeks apart. But nothing like major has happened during these 2 weeks. It's been like overall a really good 2 weeks. We've had really nice weather and I've been doing lots of activities. So that's been fun. I've had a few days where I've been feeling frustrated for no reason. I think when I get tired, I get really like frustrated and I just want to be alone and just I get irritated. So the other day I kind of like asked my partner, "Hey, is it okay if I just like have some alone time?" And he like made us dinner and stuff afterwards, so that was nice. But yeah, I think I have a hard time asking, so I was glad that I kind of like stepped up and was able to ask for what I needed at the time. But I don't know, it's not fun when you're like feeling frustrated on those days. But overall, the 2 weeks have been really good. So.
Got it. So let's definitely put that on our list of things to talk about today. Did you have some other things that you wanted to touch on so I could just keep track of it as we're going through our session today?
Well, I wrote a list of the things that I've been doing technique wise that we've been talking about. And then I wrote a list of the things that I have not been really practicing that maybe I can try practicing or maybe things that didn't work for me and things that I prefer more over other techniques.
Okay, sounds good.
So, yeah. Okay. So, things that I've been practicing. I think my number one technique that I've been enjoying is deep breathing.
Okay.
And I watched a few YouTube videos about it, and maybe you'll have more insight because I couldn't find a really good tutorial. But basically, I think that I was like pushing my lower stomach, like lower belly out too much
Mhm.
when I was breathing in. And then I read a little bit about it and watched the tutorials, and they said that you're not necessarily pushing your stomach out, but
Mhm.
it's a little bit more like in your diaphragm. So I've been practicing that and it feels better for me because I
Okay.
don't feel like it's so forced. But
Mhm.
yeah, I've been practicing deep breathing a lot. And every time I get anxious about something, I go back to like what you said that one time in our session where I was able to calm myself down. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I use that as my reference point all the time. But if we could just maybe talk a little bit about like different breathing techniques. I don't know if like because I also saw this thing online and it said don't quote me on this. I don't remember the exact way that they worded it, but basically like say you take deeper breaths, then it's better for digestion. Whereas if you're taking like more a quicker, shallower breath, say, then it's better for like anxiety. I'm not getting that right. If you could explain maybe how it works.
Sure. Do you want to take a break and work on that first before going on with your list?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I get to everything and we don't forget anything today. So, yeah, so I think we talked about it before, right? Where it's like pushing a big giant reset button with that fight, flight, freeze response. And so we have the way our brain chemistry works, and then our body typically reacts. And so for some people, they will feel something physically first and then they'll have an emotional response. And for other people, they'll have an emotional response and then they'll physically feel something. And for some people, there's no rhyme or reason to it, right? They have both experiences just at different times depending on and what that is. And so the way that our body deals with stress, frustration, anxiety, anything that we're kind of logging in our environment, right? It doesn't even have to be conscious. Our chemistry changes, our heart rate goes up, right? And so with breathing, what that does is it helps push this sort of biochemical reset button. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So when with like digestion, the reason why like that deep belly breathing works is it brings more blood and it brings more oxygen into the blood and more blood to those targeted areas, right? So if it's stomach and digestion, your blood's already going to sort of pool around your GI. And so what it does is it oxygenates the blood, and that helps sort of increase the way the body works or its functionality. So it makes the body more functional. And so that's why it like works in all these different areas, right? So when it comes to anxiety and mental health stuff, it works because it slows down your heart rate, brings in more oxygen, and it dilutes some of those stress chemicals. So all the stuff that makes you go like this, right? That deep breathing starts to relax the muscles, and it's really just a biochemical response. And so there's a lot more to it. But just to answer your question, that's why it works up for a bunch of different things. And then there's all different kinds of breathing techniques. And so it is somewhat of a trial and error experience. So if you're like, hey, I tried a bunch of different things and some work and some don't, that makes sense, right? And what we notice is that when we're stressed out, frustrated, tired, like hangry, we eat too fast, right? Our breath becomes really shallow. And so the more that we kind of hold our breathing, the tighter we're going to hold our muscles. So we have this whole like body or somatic response.
Okay.
So when you have those deep breaths, it helps you kind of calm down. Does that, I think I answered your question.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
So yeah, how long should I be breathing in and breathing out? Because I know there's a few different like ways you can do it, but do you know which way is good for what, for example?
Yeah, so typical rule of thumb is between 3 to 5 breaths. I always say like five is really good effectiveness. If you can do a few more than five, great. So think about like, hey, if I could do it five times in a row or 5 to 7 times in a row, that really is going to help you reset. And so there's a lot of different techniques. The one I like the best is what we call box breathing or 4x4 breathing. And basically, it's a big belly breath in through your nose. And so one of the tricks is instead of breathing in through your mouth, you actually take in the oxygen through your nose. So it's a big breath, and think about filling your lungs as much as you possibly can, not so much your belly. Because that when you sort of have that belly, distends or you kind of stick it out, right? The breath isn't necessarily filling up your lungs, and so you're not getting as deep of a breath as you probably can. So filling up the lungs. So you count to 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then holding your breath 1, 2, 3, 4, and then when you breathe out, you breathe out through your mouth 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you wait. So it's almost like you're holding your breath again 1, 2, 3, 4. You kind of reset, and then you do it again. So it's like breathing in, hold, breathing out, and then rest.
Okay, so two questions about that.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference? Because I read breathing in through your nose helps filter the air,
Mm-hmm.
but what is the difference between breathing out through your nose or out through your mouth? And also, oh yeah, why the holding?
Yeah, so breathing in through your nose, it's they call it yogic breathing or meditative breathing. So breathing in through your nose allows you to fill again it when we breathe through our mouth, we shorten our breath, and so we don't fill our lungs all the way. So breathing through your nose allows you to completely fill your lungs, When you breathe out through your mouth, you're actually pushing out the air. So you're trying to get as much of the air out of your lungs as you possibly can. So think about it like a balloon, right? You fill it up as far as it can go. And then when you know, let it go, right? Or you open it up, you let as much of the air out as you possibly can. So that's the nose, in through the nose, out through the mouth technique is more about lung capacity, right?
Okay.
Instead of, so you're breathing with your diaphragm, you're correct when you say that. But instead of like thinking about it from our stomach muscles, we're actually thinking about lung expansion. And the reason that we hold is so we're not hyperventilating, right? Because
Okay.
then what happens is the more stressed out we are, right? Or the more anxious we are, the faster we're going to go through that. So the hold is just a built-in pause for you to slow down. That's that reset, right? So breathing in gives you fresh oxygen to your blood. Holding your breath gets your whole body to slow down. And what you'll notice is usually after like 3 or 4 repetitions, you'll start to feel your body relax. Like your shoulders will start to relax. You'll probably relax your jaw, or if you like, I furrow my brow. So like your facial muscles. So all of these little muscle groups, people will say they clench their fists. So you'll notice that your body will start to relax, which is what you're after. And so that's that hold. And then the same thing with the holding at the end is really to try and continue to expel as much breath as you can, right? And
Okay.
then starting it over the process. You'll find if it works for you and the more you practice it, the slower you can actually go. So that 1, 2, 3, 4 may be quick in the beginning, but over time you'll really start to slow down. And for me personally, I tell myself, not necessarily to relax, because that can be a triggering word for people, right? But just, ease, like ease your shoulders. So hold your breath. It's just like, okay, just ease everything. I close my eyes, right? And then same thing, ease, just relax my muscles before I take that next breath. And so that's that progressive relaxation that you're building into that. Does
I
that make
like that
sense?
one. Yeah, I would say I'm just writing it down real quick.
Yeah.
I think the breathing is my number one that I've been enjoying so far. And then the second one is the muscle relaxation. And I
Hmm.
try to do it at nighttime because often when I lay down at night, my stomach really hurts. And it was crazy because the other night I was doing it. And sometimes I'll start from like my head and go down to my feet. And then other times I'll just focus on my stomach. And I try to like literally tell my stomach, like, relax, it's all good, like, relax your muscles. And I'll sometimes do like a self massage too.
Hmm.
And the other night I was in so much pain and I was actually able to like help with the pain just from breathing and like visualizing and doing self massage.
Oh,
So
good.
yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I can show you a different one too if you want to learn a new one.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try the breathing before we go on. Just try it. Let's try it a couple of times together to see how that feels for you. Because that way, if we need to make an adjustment, we can before you hang up and I don't see you for a few weeks. So, okay, so if you think about it, so like breathe in through your nose. So I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4. Again 1, 2, 3, 4. Relax 2, 3, 4. Breathe out 2, 3, 4. Relax 2, 3, 4. How's that feel?
Good. I noticed though, it took me a sec because I was breathing in my chest. And so I had to tell myself, like, no, breathe through your diaphragm, you know?
Yeah, so your chest is so think about filling your lungs. So it should feel like really heavy in
Is
your
it kind of like near my ribs that I'm supposed to be breathing into?
yeah, or yeah, underneath your rib cage. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So for me it's more in my pecs, right in my chest and my sternum here than it is kind of in my belly, right?
Okay. Like the middle of your torso area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So just like I said, think about filling that whole space up, right? And you notice like my body, my posture, right? My shoulders sometimes will come up with that, which is okay. And then when you relax, you're kind of pushing everything down.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to try it one more time? 2, 3, hold, breathe out. Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like instantly relaxed, when I do this technique.
Yeah. So 3, 5 times, right? And when we're talking, I'm making a point to over exaggerate and go, right, really loud. When you're at home by yourself, try that a few times because it actually works. When you're at the office, you probably don't necessarily want to do, right? But you can do the same technique at your desk, right? Is just breathe out through your mouth, and you can smile and then do it again. So you can do this anywhere without people realizing what you're doing.
Right. Yeah, that's the nice thing about it.
Yeah. So cool, and I'll be excited to hear like, hey, did that technique work for you? That, like I said, there's a lot of different ones. So if that one is still not like you're like, it's okay, it's not better, then there's a couple of other ones we can try.
Okay, perfect.
Then the progressive relaxation one, what I would like you to try is to, when you think about the pain, I want you to give it a color, and it doesn't matter, like whatever color you want, you feel. Darker colors or primary colors are easier for people to access. Green, blue, purple, red, yellow, doesn't matter. So I want you to pick a color, and I want you to think about somebody taking a big giant bucket of green paint and they've just dubbed it over your head, right? From your head, you are just covered head to toe in green paint. And so when you're lying down, I want you to visualize at the bottom of your feet a drain. And so as you go through and you take your breath and you breathe out, I want you to imagine like you being washed clean, right? From your head all the way down. And so as you relax and you say, when you go through that progressive relaxation, right? Relax. So for me, I'm like, relax your forehead, relax your eyebrows, your jaw, because right? Your jaw, your chin, your neck, and I might turn my neck. Relax your shoulders, right? Relax your chest. So I kind of go through each, right, body part, my arms, my elbows, my hands, my wrists, my fingers. So I do that. Take a breath, relax my stomach, my hips, my back, right? My glutes. See what I mean? I kind of go through each body. So as you're going through each piece, I want you to imagine that all of that green paint with all of the pain is just washing down off your body and visualize it swirling down the drain, right? So the pain is just going to leave your body. It makes sense. It becomes
Yeah.
that green paint.
Yeah, I've never heard this one. It's like visualization with the progressive muscle relaxation.
Right. And you can practice it in the shower if you need like like you know what I mean for visual, and
Yeah.
just shampoo if you're washing your hair, shampoo your hair and just imagine, right? Like that's all of the stress you said earlier in our meeting, right? Frustration, you can do the same thing. Just like all of the just you're washing your hair and all of the gross, right, from working out or whatever it is all of that frustration, and then as it washes away, it's just washing off of you, and watch the soap go down the drain. So you can do the same kind of progressive meditation is really what it is. And you practice it in the shower and then do that when you're lying down and see if that helps like move that pain out.
Okay. Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Another one that I've been doing more frequently is being nicer to myself. For example, if I'm trying something, that I'm not succeeding, I'm just kind of like, you're learning, it's all good. Like, take a sec, you'll get it next time, or you might not, and that's okay. Which also brings me to my next point is about like expectation. I've been
Mhm.
trying to like lower my expectation and be like, you shouldn't know how to do this because you've never done it before, or yeah, you're still learning. And just talking nicer to myself is another big one for me.
Good. How's that helping with the perfectionism piece?
It's good. And I mean, like you said last time, it's not like these feelings are just gonna go away forever. They're still gonna come up. Like today I was feeling frustrated. And one thing that I want to start getting better at is taking a sec and like going for a walk for a couple minutes or, like grabbing a glass of water because I just get so stuck and I'm like, I have to do this now. I have to do this now, or like I'm just gonna like go into a panic. It just needs to get done. But I think realizing that if I take a break from it and then come back to it, I'll probably be more efficient. You know what I mean? So yeah, I've been more kind to myself, but I need to learn when to walk away and come back to it.
So what's the message, right? When you're getting frustrated and stuck and you're like, I just need to walk away, but it's hard for me to disengage. Do you have
Yeah, I'm just like, I need to figure this out. I'm very like, if I need to know something, I'm very now. I need to know it now. I need to figure it out now. Why can't I do this? It's almost like a puzzle and I need to solve it. And I need to do it right now, or else I'm going to think about it. It's going to be on my mind. Like I feel like if I went for a walk, I'd be thinking about it like, hey, what's the solution? I just want to know the solution to things.
And so then when is it that do you have the negative thinking when you can't figure it out or if you're not figuring it out fast enough? Like when did those negative messages come in?
So yeah, they don't happen right away where they used to last year. They used to happen like almost instantly, but because I've been more kind to myself, I've been saying like, okay, take at least an hour or two and try to figure it out. And sometimes I even give myself like a full day, depending on what it is, or a few tries. And it's when I reach kind of a peak where I feel like I should be getting it by now. It's like, okay, you've been working at it long enough now. You've been so patient with yourself. Why aren't you getting it? And then I start to get hard on myself again.
Got it. Okay, so it's those should statements that really kind of start to creep up. Like, you said, oh, you should be getting it by now, right?
Right.
So like what does that tap into? If you don't do it right, then right. So it's those core belief statements. Anytime like that stuff comes in, like those should statements, it's all of those core beliefs. So what do you think that says about you? If you
Um,
don't get it fast enough, then
I'm not good enough. I forgot about this one. I forgot about this technique.
yeah, there's
I'm gonna
so
write it
many.
down. I'm gonna write it down. Okay. If I can't get this, that means, right? That's what I'm supposed to
Yeah,
ask myself. Okay.
yeah, yeah. It's if fill in the blank, right? Then that me. What does that say about me, right?
Okay.
So you're like, okay, so what you said is like, I should have gotten this by now, right? Or I should get this by now. So the fact that you aren't, what does that mean? What does that say about you?
Maybe that I'm not smart and that
Okay.
I'm not good enough. Like, I don't have talent. I don't have skill.
Okay. And so then what, right? So if you're not good enough, you don't have talent, you're not smart enough, you don't have skill, then what does that mean? What does that say about you?
Then I'll never succeed or I'll never be where I want to be.
Okay. And then what? So if you're never where you want to be, then what does that mean about you? Or what
I
does
feel
that?
like I'm going to be disappointed in myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So disappointed, like, do you feel like you'd be a failure or not necessarily that word?
In that task, in that area, yeah, but not like a failure at life.
Okay. So do you feel like that's sort of the bottom of that? Like then you're disappointed or is there something more there? If you were disappointed in yourself, then what would that mean? What would that say about you?
That I'm not good enough.
Okay. Does that go back to then if I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable? Or is that not the right frame?
I don't think in this instance, because what
Okay.
I'm thinking, well, the specific topic I'm thinking of right now is more like work related, is more kind of like design and photography related. So
Okay, so if I'm not good enough, then
I'll never be where I want to be. Like I just want to be a certain, I just want to keep growing.
I won't be accomplished. I won't be taken seriously.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'll be embarrassed
Okay.
because sometimes I look at my old work and I get really embarrassed. I'm like, wow, that was really not nice. Like, why did you do that? And then I tell myself, okay, you were learning. Like,
Right.
everyone looks at their old work and probably thinks that it's okay. But
Yeah.
so,
Okay.
yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, so then what? Okay, so you're embarrassed. Like, give me like what's that laundry list? Remember, making it conscious helps you use the skills to start getting unstuck, right? So what else? Embarrassed, not good enough, not where
Uh,
you want to be.
well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if it goes, did we talk about this? How I went through my values? I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember. Okay.
Yeah.
And I determined that learning was my number one value,
Mm-hmm.
although I'd still be learning even if I was technically failing. But what I'm trying to get at is maybe why I get so frustrated is because like I'm learning all these things, but I'm not like moving forward. But I am in the grand scheme of things, just not at that moment, maybe.
Right.
So I don't
So
like feeling stuck. I don't like feeling like I'm not progressing, basically.
okay, so it's not enough, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Or I know another thing that frustrates me. It's like I need help. I'm like, can someone tell me? I need a really good tutorial. Like I watch a lot of tutorials. I need sometimes someone to just sit with me and to be like, I'm very like step one, step two, step three type of person. So I just really need someone to tell me the steps slowly. I need to break everything down so that I really understand.
Okay. So I wonder if it's that do you feel like like and I'm not saying in your current job, right, at all, just in general with situations like this when you're learning something and you're feeling stuck, do you feel like nobody, and I know that's an extreme statement, right? Nobody's giving me what I need, or like I'm not, I'm not deserving of knowing more. Like, is there something in there about how you show up in the world? Like, I give people a lot of me, but I'm not getting something back, or is that not necessarily?
No, not
Oh,
in not with this instance. I do feel like that sometimes in other instances, but
okay.
not with this one.
Not with this one.
No, I
Okay.
think I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just like, I feel like more new to it, and I have so much like freedom and it's really nice. And I'm just like learning as I go, basically. So sometimes I don't always know what I'm doing.
Got it. And so then that results in this like, okay, I don't know what to do. I don't know who to ask. I'm stuck. I don't, like that kind of, and then I'm not going to get where I need to go, right? Do you feel like you're going to disappoint like your team?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So
definitely.
it's the people pleasing that's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I just want it to be like the best that it can be?
Yeah. So it's like here's the thing is that if you were in charge of your team, right? And people were coming to you and they're like, Shelby, I can't get this. I'm really stuck. You probably would give them all the grace in the world, right?
Right.
Yeah. But you're not doing that for yourself.
Right, right.
Right. So what's that about?
Not being patient.
Okay.
Yeah. The thing is too, if I remember, like I feel like I always end up figuring it out.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm resourceful enough to figure things out. And I've been in situations before where I'm like, wow, I'm never going to get out of this. I'm going to be stuck here forever and I'm never going to be able to figure out these colors or, like
Right.
these fonts or whatever it is. And then I figure it out. And, sometimes like was saying, sometimes it's not the best thing ever, but I know I put a lot of effort in and again, continuing to learn.
Right. So then, in line with that value, right, what would be something in the moment that you could kind of get yourself unstuck, right? Um, to help you switch gears where you can say, okay, I know getting some water, doing some deep breathing, taking a walk. Like I have all of these skills I know work for me. It sounds like it's getting there that sometimes you're getting hung up in, right? And so, like, what would be something you could say to yourself to help you move to a place where you could get unstuck?
Yeah, okay, that's a good question. I think I need to get out of the mindset of like, I need to do this right now. And I
Okay.
need to say, you need to go take a 10-minute walk and calm down because, oh, this was really interesting. I think I read it in the book, and it basically said that you can't think of two things at once. So if you're feeling frustrated and you're thinking like, oh, I'm so frustrated, I'm never going to be able to figure that out, you actually can't focus on the solution. So
Mm,
in that moment, I'm just so focused on the frustration that I'm not like thinking clearly anymore. And so I think telling myself like, hey, you should go for a walk so that when you come back in 10 minutes, you're going to have a better mindset and you're going to have a better like solution.
okay, that's great. So what would help you remember? Like a post-it note on your computer, like what, a note on your phone, building in just a break like every hour, like get up and take 5 minutes of just like do some deep breathing, go to the bathroom, get something to drink, get some fresh air, whatever it is, right? Like how would you be best served by that?
I think the last solution
Okay.
would be kind of like giving myself 5 minutes every hour. Plus, I already heard that that's actually a really good way to work. Is
Mm-hmm.
taking those breaks. Like some people do like, I don't know, 3 minutes every 20 minutes. Some people do 5 minutes every hour. So just maybe testing and playing around with like what works for me. Because yeah, I just get really like consumed by it. And then which most of the time it works. But then in the frustrated times, then I need a break.
Yeah, and then you're stuck, and so that's when that kind of anxious, it's the same muscle as anxiety, right? So it's that anxious spinning that starts to happen. So yeah, I mean, even just setting your alarm on your phone or your watch or something where every 55 minutes it's like, okay, go get up and get some water, and developing the habit. So this is where habitual behavior is really helpful. So you do the same thing all the time. Get up, whatever. Like for me, it's usually like, okay, get up, go to the bathroom, wash my hands, get some water, go back and sit down, right? Like I have this routine that I do whether I'm in my home office or if I'm in my office seeing clients. They laugh because it doesn't matter how late, I'm running. I always go to the bathroom, wash my hands, take a few breaths, and then I open up the lobby door and I'm like, I'm so sorry I'm late. And it's just an ongoing thing now, right? But I do that in between every client. It helps me reset and sort of put things in a box and just say, okay, I'm done with this part, right? And I'm going to put that over to the side. And now it's time for me to focus on something else. So that kind of ritualistic kind of habit is super helpful in situations like this, right? So you just get used to doing it. That way, when you're feeling frustrated, you start to go, you know what I mean? You gravitate toward, wait a minute, I know the skill. I can
Okay.
do this thing.
I
Makes
like
sense?
it. I want to combine it with stretching. I'm just gonna write it down.
Perfect.
Like 5 minutes every hour to stretch.
Yeah,
Okay, perfect.
perfect.
So I've also been doing a little bit of Pilates for my stomach pain.
Good.
Haven't been doing as much as I want, but about twice a week for like 20 minutes. So
Good.
nothing crazy, but I mean, I think it's still good. And I read something else about starting a habit is like starting small and being realistic. And I feel
Hmm.
like I do a lot of other things, so twice a week is working for me. I've been actually having a lot of stomach pain lately, though, like the past 3 days, and like a lot of acne for some reason. So I don't know why, but that's been a little bit, yeah, just weird. Um,
Have you talked to just your primary care, your general doctor about it?
no, it's weird. Every like I'd say once a year, I have like worse acne than usual. When I was younger, I had really bad acne, and then I went on like Accutane and it
Mhm.
went away. And now I'm on some more like what's it called? Not like internal, but
The topical kind of thing.
topical.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so it could have something to do with cycle and hormones and all that, but I don't
Mhm.
know.
Yeah, I always like to make sure everything is all the organic stuff, right, is okay. And so if you notice like it's continuing, I would say for another 5 days or another week or so, it would be worth just, even if you have however you reach your primary doctor, just to check in, because I always hate to say, oh, if this is behavioral, when,
Right.
well, if you're having stomach pains, we want to make sure that that's not behavioral only, right? We rule out anything medical.
Fair.
So,
Yeah, it feels different than I think than behavioral, like something more like internal. So that's a good call to check with my doctor for sure.
yeah. That I am
Um,
not. So, I don't want to give you I don't want to give you medical advice. I'm not a doctor.
tell me what's wrong. Um, oh yeah. And then I was doing a little bit of grounding exercises, but mostly just physical so far. I haven't really gotten into like the what do I see, what do I smell, what do I hear? I've just been focused on like more tactile. So
Yeah, I mean, if it's working for you, right? I mean, the thing about this stuff is if it works, keep doing it until it doesn't work. There's so many techniques, right? And then you find another one that works. You don't necessarily need to have 7 different grounding exercises. It's too hard to remember, right?
yeah.
So find something that works and then just keep doing it until it doesn't work. So if that's working for you right now, I would try at night though. I would really try that deep breathing and progressive relaxation in combination the way we talked about, to see if that helps with some of the pain relief.
Okay.
And then during the day, yeah, when you're in your head, we talked about this, I think, in the very beginning, right? Remember anything that's tactile in your body. Those deep breaths, fresh air, something cool to drink, taking a walk, washing your face, anything that gets you out of your head when you're in your body and you feel like your stomach's hurting, you're holding your muscles really tight, you're short of breath, going into not why, because that'll get you spinning, but okay, what do I need to do next? So really using that method of titrating between your body and your brain,
Okay.
and that'll help with that grounding piece too.
Okay, okay. It's actually hard to remember to be like, okay, how am I feeling, physically? Because the other day I was tired and I was talking to my partner. I'm like, I'm feeling tired, but I don't even know what I'm feeling in my body. Like, why do I know I'm tired right now? Am I just saying that? And we had a big day, so it makes sense that I was tired.
Yeah.
And then he was really good at describing it. He's like, well, I'm tired, my eyes feel heavy, my muscles feel weak. I don't know, he said a few other things, but I had a hard time like naming kind of physically how I was feeling, even though I knew like emotionally how I was feeling.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like in that moment, did you feel numb, or did you feel like, I don't mean out of body, like, oh, you're having this out of body experience. Out of body meaning kind of there's this disconnect. So some people will say, I feel like I'm watching myself like in a movie. Other people will say, like, I don't feel like, I physically don't feel anything. I just feel flat.
Well, when I'm tired, I definitely get quiet. I don't really, yeah, I don't feel like the out of body. Yeah, like a little bit more kind of just neutral, like just, yeah, tired, don't really want to chat.
Mhm. So
Um,
if so, it's more of the emotional exhaustion with the physical exhaustion. So like your body's tired, but you also become emotionally tired.
yeah, I think I honestly get more emotionally tired than physically
Mhm.
tired.
Yeah.
I think because I'm so like chatty, I just need sometimes like a minute to just not chat and just like be alone. And I never used to be like that when I was younger, but I just feel like every year I get a little bit more like, okay, I need some time to almost reach like just recharge.
Yeah. So I think it's, like a lot of times people will ask, like, okay, when does that become a problem, right? And so I think really what you're tracking is if you're starting to isolate, where you're saying like not, hey, I'd like some alone time from my partner, which is totally normal, where you're withdrawing, right? Where you don't want to spend time with your partner. It's not just, hey, I need a few hours or I need a day or whatever to rejuvenate. It's that I don't want to be with anybody, right? That withdrawal and
Okay.
the isolation. And so you're kind of looking for something that's more severe, where you're noticing you're withdrawing, you don't want to interact with people. So I think that's when then things like this become an issue. So for now, it just sounds like you're getting a much, I think, steadier handle, on what you need emotionally and physically. And so, yeah, as you're getting older and you're doing more therapy, you're learning like it's okay for me to actually take a time out, right? The sky is not going to fall, you know.
Right.
And
Okay.
so and then the strength and right sort of the self-esteem to be able to do that, because you said like it was really hard for you to ask him like, hey, I just need a little bit of time, but you get 10 gold stars, right? Because that is really hard. And so being able to do that and then taking that time, and like he didn't get mad, he was lovely, made dinner, right? Like there wasn't a big fight. Like I said, the sky didn't fall,
Right.
right? And so going back to those moments of like, hey, I asked for a little bit of time. It wasn't an issue. He was lovely about that. I felt better after having that time. Is, those are good things, right? And so look at that juxtaposed to I just want to pull the covers over my head, right, and not get out of bed for a day or two, right? Then we go, all right, wait a minute. Is it exhaustion or is it something different?
Okay, I'm glad you told me kind of like the signs to look for because I don't feel like that's where I'm at all. And
Yeah.
so now that like you're framing it in a more positive way than I was in my head, I think that I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, this is totally normal and okay, because it's not like I'm isolating. I just need like an hour alone for once in a
Yeah.
while. Okay.
Yeah. And it's, especially when, you live with your partner, right? Or you have roommates or whatever, right? There's times where you're like, I just need some quiet time. And it has nothing to do with the quality. People always say, does that mean my relationship is bad? It's like, no, not at all. It has nothing to do with the quality of your relationship or anything about you or your partner. It's just when we're with people all the time, right? We need some quiet time, and that's healthy to rejuvenate. Those aren't bad things at all. And so there is a little bit of research. It's interesting about if you're more introverted, that alone time helps you rejuvenate. And if you're more extroverted, being around people helps you rejuvenate. And it's not uncommon for partners to have different ways, right? And so part of it is just learning what you need for yourself.
Okay.
And you might have a little bit of each, where sometimes you feel super energized being with people, and other times you're like, I just need it quiet, you know?
Well, it's weird because I feel like I'm definitely more extroverted, but I feel more energized. Like I feel energized when I'm with friends and with people, but then after I hit that kind of wall where I'm tired and I just like need time for myself, to just not chat at all. So it's
Mhm.
like I don't know if I'm in the middle or
Yeah, and it's totally normal. And so I think like you did a great job of being able to say, "Hey, this is what I need." Right? And then taking a little space, and the gold star moments are when you did that for yourself. Like that's the huge piece, right? And I joke with, hey, the sky didn't fall, but for me that's the measure, right? It's like, because if the sky is going to fall, I have a really big problem.
right.
And I need to do something about that, right? So sometimes it feels like that though, right? It feels like it's so big the sky's gonna fall. And so sometimes that's a really good way to build perspective of it's hard for me to ask. And so even just naming that, hey honey, it's really hard for me to ask, right? I'm really exhausted and I wouldn't mind just kind of lying down, reading, or just going and reading a book or taking a walk, And then the trick is coming back, right? And saying, could we check in an hour, or hey, could we have dinner together and watch a movie, right? So the other person on the other end of that relationship, right, whether it's work, it's romantic, it's a boss, isn't feeling like I did something wrong.
Hmm.
Right. So you kind of book your book ending, right? Like, hey, I need this thing, and not but, and this other part of us and me is important too,
Okay, I like
right?
it.
Yeah. So
Um,
good job with that.
Thank you. It's so funny because I forget that it's like, oh, that is a good, So thanks for pointing
Yeah.
that out. Okay, but so you mentioned the out of body experience part, and I find when I'm sleeping at night, and this happens like almost every night, I go to like say like scratch my arm or like I move my body and it doesn't feel like it's me.
Hmm.
So I don't know what that's about, but it kind of scares me sometimes because I'm like, oh, like what's that? Why am I like tripping like this? You know what I mean? And I don't know if it's maybe because I'm about to like fall asleep, so maybe I'm a little bit more in like a kind of trance, you know?
Hmm.
But have you heard of that before?
Yeah. Do you feel like, do you try and move your body and you can't? Like, do you feel like you're paralyzed in a sense?
Not really paralyzed because I can still
Okay.
move it, but it feels numb. Like it feels like it's not really my leg. Like my leg or my arm isn't attached to my body, or it's like not me scratching.
Okay. And is it only when you fall asleep, or do you notice like if you wake up in the middle of the night, it happens then?
No, I think it's only when I fall asleep because I'm a pretty sound sleeper. Like if I wake up in the middle of the
Okay.
night, yeah, I can fall asleep right away. But I did have it happen one time, and now I'm wondering actually if my iron levels are low because I had it one time when I was working and it was during the day and I felt like I was in a dream. I just like didn't feel like me. If I like touched my arm, like it didn't feel like I was the one doing that. So yeah, maybe I should get my iron checked.
Yeah, I mean it could, that's what I'm saying, like the organic, like I think it's worth talking to your medical doctor first just to make sure everything is copacetic and going the way it's supposed to before we say, well, maybe there's something more behavioral. Um, it could be some sleep stuff, and it's part of just how your brain processes in those moments. It could be, like you said, like there could be some medical stuff, iron, vitamin D, electrolytes. If you're dehydrated, there might be more of a medical explanation, and your doctor would be the one to sort of address that. It also could be some trauma stuff about falling asleep. So if I think what would be really helpful is to just kind of keep a log when you notice that that's happening. So try that progressive relaxation and then see if it happens. Because I'd be really curious to know if it happens without that progressive relaxation. But when you're, because that progressive relaxation is all about being in your body. And even if you don't finish the exercise, if you fall asleep before you finish, it's fine, right? So I'd be curious to know if you don't notice it when you're doing the relaxation, right? And you do notice it when you're not doing the relaxation,
Right. That is
right?
interesting.
So I think we need a little bit more information, but yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
It's. Have you ever felt like you tripped or you fall when you're starting to fall asleep? Have you had that
Yeah,
experience?
I know. Yeah, I have had that. And I actually jolt. Like I'll actually move my body.
Yeah, some people have it pretty regularly, and other people have never experienced it, and they have no explanation for why some people do that and other people don't. So it could be something like that, where that's just sort of part of your starting your REM pattern. That's what I'm saying. I'd be curious to know if that progressively relaxation piece keeps you in your body when you're
Okay.
starting to fall asleep. Yeah.
Okay. Even the other day, because I'm scared of heights, we were watching a movie and this girl was like on a beam and she was like scared to fall. And I thought I fell and I like jolted forward. My partner was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, I just pictured falling because, I'm like empathetic. So I just like picture myself in that person's shoes. And then I pictured falling and it was so scary.
You were in the movie, like you were really in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in it. I was invested. It's so weird.
Yeah, I think too, like one of the things I've loved about our sessions too is just like the realization that not everything is weird or wrong or abnormal, right? Like a lot of times it's, yeah, this is just who Shelby is. Like this is who you are, right? There's nothing actually wrong. There's little things that we're doing to sort of fine tune some of it,
Yeah.
right? And so keeping that too in your focus of, yeah, you were just totally invested in the movie, whether it was really good or you were just for whatever reason in it. Like we don't have to pathologize that and say, oh, that means that there's this thing, you know?
Right. Yeah, because sometimes I do find it hard to differentiate, like, okay, is this just like natural, normal, or is this weird, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So the pathology piece is when you notice there's a pattern and it's interfering with your daily life and living. So if you said to me, "Yeah, I did that and then I didn't sleep for 2 days and now I'm afraid to go climb," right? Then I go, "Okay, let's take a look at that," right? So when it's really interfering with your quality of living, that's when it's like, okay, this is a problem, whether it's a little problem or a big problem, right?
Okay.
That's really what you're looking for is it happening often enough where it makes me unhappy or it's interfering with my quality of life?
Okay. Okay. I like that as a reference.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. I mean, I feel like we sort of talked about the frustration, but is there more there that we should kind of take a look at
Yeah.
today?
I don't know how an hour always goes by so fast, also. It's so crazy. Like what? Okay, anything else about frustration? Well, actually, I remembered what you said, which is nice. Like when I was climbing yesterday, there was a climb I couldn't do, and I noticed I got a little bit frustrated. And I just remember what you said. You said, like this isn't gonna completely disappear. It's just how quickly you can overcome it. And
Mhm.
so then I was like, okay, what do I got to do right now to overcome this? So then I talked to my friend about it. And like she told me she gets frustrated too. And then I felt better. And then not because I want to get frustrated, but just because to know it's a natural part of life.
Right.
And then I took a few minutes and then my partner gave me some feedback on what to do. And then I tried again and I had the expectation of it's okay if you don't get this. Like that's what I told myself.
Mhm.
And then I did it. So, and then I had a really good session the rest of the day. So,
Ta-da!
yeah. So
Another 10 gold star moment. Excellent. Very, very good. Yeah. And for you, that validation, right? That external validation from your friend is so helpful in those moments where, like, I know I'm not, I know I'm having an emotional reaction. I just need some help, like, processing that in this moment to move forward. So, the more you know about that, the easier it is to tell your partner, too, like, hey, this would be helpful for me in these moments.
Okay.
That way, if you don't have a friend there, you're able to kind of give him some instruction of, this would be really helpful for me when you notice that I'm getting frustrated, right? Or if I'm visibly frustrated and I'm articulating that, like this was what would be helpful is that kind of problem solving and validation, right? Because I seem to be able to reset pretty quickly and get over it. Try the same technique with work stuff. See if it works, right? With like, all right, I know I can do this. I'm just frustrated. I'm going to take a break, right? I wonder if you own it a little bit, if that'll help you push that reset button like when you were climbing. And that's such a huge milestone, too. I'm not trying to be dismissive. Like, that's
No,
awesome because you said, the climbing thing has been a big deal for you.
yeah. Yeah. I've also been trying to use I statements and they're hard. I'm like, oh my God, how can I reword this to not use the word you?
So hard.
Yeah, but cool. Like it make because it also makes you think, right? So it makes you pause to be like, oh, should I even say this? Like, is this, and how can I say it in a polite way?
Yeah.
So
It's so hard. Yep. And all of this stuff, right? That to me, I think when I'm trying to practice this stuff, it makes me the most frustrated is it's so simple. The concepts are so simple, and it is not easy, right? If it were that easy, then you would be able to do it. We all would be able to do it, right? And so to me, that's frustrating when it's like, I see what I'm supposed to do and I can't do it, right? So sometimes just little mantras like that of like, okay, it's simple. I understand it. It is not easy. So I need to give myself a break and try it again, right? Or come back to it or whatever.
Do you think it's not easy because we've built a habit over X amount of years, or because emotions are just so strong?
Both. I think it's, we learn habits from the time we're born, right? And so some of it is stuff you've been doing longer than you've had words for. And the older you get, the more you start to understand your patterns, right? But it's stuff you've been doing forever. And other things are things you've learned to cope. And so part of it, right, is why would we get rid of things that we use to cope to make us feel better? We wouldn't. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. And so we have to learn the new coping strategy before we can be willing to get rid of the one that we know doesn't work, because that's easier, right? It's easier to do something that makes me feel better, even though I know that that's not super healthy,
Okay.
than it is to keep failing at trying to learn something new, because eventually I'll get it, right? But in the moment, it doesn't feel like that, and it's uncomfortable. Right? It's physically uncomfortable, it's emotionally uncomfortable, so then why would I do that? So I think some of it is self-preservation, right? It's just the way that the human brain works, and it gets in our way all the time.
Yeah, yeah. That was another thing that you said that I always think of too is, when I'm worried about something, and walking down the street or whatever, I keep remembering the fact that you said, well, this has kept you alive this far. Like, and then it makes me realize like, oh, wait a second, I'm not like crazy, or I'm not, overboard. I'm literally just trying to protect myself. I'm like, and that's okay. So it's just kind of like the acceptance of, this has kept me alive, and I'm just, yeah, trying to be safe.
Do you feel like that helps kind of calm down in those moments, or?
Yeah, yeah, because not only was I in a panic, but I was also judging myself. I was also like, why do you feel this way? You shouldn't feel this way, like, etc. But now after you said that, I'm kind of like more accepting of it. I'm like, oh, well, of course you're gonna feel that way. And then I can let at least that part go.
Yeah, and the goal is the same thing with the climbing, is it's not that it's going to just disappear and not ever be there again. And you wouldn't want that, right? Because it is what keeps you safe.
Right.
The goal is that it doesn't happen either as often or with the same kind of intensity, and that you're able to redirect it like, oh, there it is. Yep. No, I think I'm okay now, and I keep walking, or I look around and I'm like, no, I probably should call an Uber, right? Like those decision points, right? And so it's not that it just goes away, it's that you don't feel like it owns you.
Right. I like it. And my partner always looks at me, he goes, dimmer switch, Shelby, dimmer switch, like you talked about. Like he's so funny. He literally always says therapy terms now because I tell him like all these new terms and stuff. I love
I love
it.
it. That's adorable.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're doing awesome.
Yeah.
Just really great work. And then if you wouldn't mind, like keep a log of the times where you're like, I did this really well, and then the time where like I didn't do this well at all, and then what was going on emotionally, or what were my thoughts around that, or those should statements. And let's see if we can kind of keep picking at that.
Okay.
And because I feel like that's working really well for you. How do you feel about it?
No, that's a great idea. I'm glad that you mentioned that. I like it a lot. Yeah.
Okay. You feel like this has been going okay, and you've been
Yeah,
doing
no,
great.
I was just going to say thank you so much for
Oh my
all your
God.
help. I feel like I've learned tons of techniques, and I've been able to like put them into practice and see what works for me, and kind of like I have a list now of like, like I mentioned, breathing is my number one, and then I liked the muscle relaxation, etc. So,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for teaching me all these techniques.
Of course, of course, of course. Yeah, and don't be shy if there's something that you're like, okay, Joe, no, I don't want you to do that again, or I want to do this. Like you're not hurting my feelings. So you know, if there's something that you want to make sure that we're at least having that conversation. So if I don't know how to do it, I can at least direct you to the resources or somebody that can too. So that's an important part of the process.
Thank you so much. No, I'm very happy with everything.
Cool. Well, I will see you in a few weeks or next week, I think. I'll see you next week.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All
We'll see
right.
you
You
then.
bet. Bye.
Bye.